faithful. To him, it's not just a team, it's family.
I appreciate everyone in here.
Love you guys.
Yes, sir! Yeah.
Here's the head coach of your 49ers, Kyle Shanahan.
You got a chance to do something this year, man.
With Tolbert and Copes on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Copes and Tolbert with you. It's time for our weekly conversation with the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, as they get ready for their bye week, sitting at 4-4, and the NFC West is kind of sitting there for someone to take, and we talk to the head coach of the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan now. Kyle, what's going on?
Not much, man. How you doing?
Doing good. I did want to pass along my condolences and the rest of KNBR's condolences for the loss of Mooney Ward and his family. I know they lost their daughter today, 2 years old, and again, it's a cliche, but it really does kind of put everything in perspective when you find out what someone is dealing with, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it's it's kind of I think it's anyone who has a kid. It's once you have a kid, you don't realize it till you have one. But the day you have it, it becomes your biggest fear in life. And to watch it happen to someone we're so close to, and I just remember talking to Mooney when he had his daughter Imani 2 years ago, and how excited he was, and to have to talk to him yesterday through this tragic. She was at the game and everything, and he put her to bed Sunday night and woke up Monday morning and it was over, and just to. It's everyone's biggest fears, but just to hear it happen to someone is crushing and devastating as it gets, and there really aren't words for it. You got to be there for someone as much as you can be, and just help them as much as you can.
Just heartbreaking. It's just absolutely heartbreaking. All right, I'll make the impossible left turn into sports here because, like I said, it does put everything into perspective, but it is important, and you guys are in a battle right now in the NFC West, 4-4, along with Arizona. How you feeling right now about where the team's at? All the stuff you fought through with the injuries, some games that you should have won that you didn't win, and whatever, you've gone through it. Here you are at 4-4, second half of the season kind of staring you in the face. How you feeling about where the team's at health-wise, and kind of where the team's at kind of headspace-wise as you guys head forward?
I think we're in a good spot. We've been battling each week, and that's usually what an NFL season's like. You got to try to truly find your identity as the year goes, become whatever that team is that year. We've had lots of guys here from the past, and we've had lots of good seasons here in the last few years. And you want everything to go similar to that and finish it off with the last one. But none of that stuff really pertains to this year. And you got guys who've been through some experiences together, but we're going through it this year with this team. And we sit here at 4-4, which makes me feel a lot better than I did a week ago. Going into this bye week at 3-5, wouldn't have been by any means the end of anything. But going at 4-4 is a lot more positive. Just went into that game and feeling like we're going to get some guys back, but more importantly, feeling like we accomplished some things last week. There were similar issues in some ways, just giving up those big plays at the end, not being able to finish with the ball there. A couple of series before on offense. I thought the special teams, although not perfect, they took a big step in the right direction. And, I was kind of talking about the team today that, I shared them our record that it's been at the end of the bye week the last 3 years. And when you look at that, I don't have it in front of me, so it could be one off or two, but I think it was 4-4. It was 3-5 or 4-5 and another 4-4 one, and we're sitting here, or 3-4, and we're sitting here at 4-4. So it's really not much different than these past years have been. Which I keep trying to tell the guys that has nothing to do with past years. That's not going to affect this year. But knowing that you've gone through stuff like that, or people in this room have been a part of it, you truly understand that it's possible and what it takes to do that, and what changed after those bye weeks. And you looked at our records after those bye weeks, and I think they were like 7-3, 9-0, and then I want to say 7-2. It was something crazy like that. And it's like, was that what happened in those? And it's you go through the beginning of a year and you become a team through the good and the bad. And sometimes going through some adversities is really what builds you. And we've been through a number of that this year. And I feel like we did find a little bit of a different edge last week. And not in terms of playing harder. I don't question our guys and how hard they play, how important it is to them as individuals and stuff. But it's finding that collective energy of how important every little moment is. And I'm talking about Monday all the way up to kickoff and the preparation and every step and walkthrough, just to be so deliberate in what you do and to really have that urgency and that desperation on how every single game, no matter what it is, primetime, division, the first game of the year, the last game of the year, but to have that true, to be truly desperate to where you're giving it everything you have and you can't think about anything else. That's what it takes to find an edge in this league. And if you don't find an edge like that, that's truly genuine, it's such a fine line on how you win and lose games. And I think that's something we've found year in and year out. And I thought we did a better job of finding that towards the end of last week in practice. And I think it carried over to the game. And it didn't solve all the issues, but it had a team battle through and overcome some of those issues. And I think that's the step in the right direction, because if we don't find that urgency and have that true passion, not just as individuals, but collectively as a team, then you can't go on runs like we have in the past. And I feel we're getting closer to that, and which will make us a better team. And then hopefully we'll have a little bit better luck in a few guys back here who always make it easier to win.
Yeah, special teams are like officials to me. If I don't notice you, I assume you did a pretty good job, and that's all I care about. Just I don't want to notice you. I just do your job, and let's get on with the game. You mentioned the injuries. Just kind of give us an update on kind of where we are with the guys that may be coming back, may need a few more weeks. I usually don't ask about that stuff because I always think when they're there, they're there. I'll talk about them when they show up. But now that we're going into the bye week halfway through the season, what are some of the injury updates on McCaffrey, Dre Greenlaw, Hufanga, anybody else that you might want to mention?
Yeah, and I think that's a little harder. I wish you and I were just having a drink together and we could just talk through openly all these injuries. But I know they'll be tweeted out as soon as I mention them. That'll be the timetable, and that it is. I don't care about being wrong on it. It's more the pressure it puts on players. This is a huge week for all these guys. They got to rehab hard every day. They don't get away. They got to make sure that they can push it as hard as they can, not have any setbacks the next day, and everything be on track. So then we can open up some windows, and so that's where the big ones with Christian, and we hope it does go that way. And it's been trending that way, and it's been ever since we shut him down and gone through these real slow steps. It's getting there. He hasn't had a setback, and hopefully he has a real good week, and we can get him into practice next week, which obviously would be huge for us. And I think Dre is getting close. I don't want to put a timetable on it. I'd probably be surprised right after the bye week. But I do think after that it'll be close to being week to week, which means if everything goes right, that'll be a sooner week than later week for whatever diagnosis that is. And I don't know if Etur has a chance after the bye week. But I think similar that if he's not ready for that, it'll be week to week after that, and hopefully at least by Seattle. That's what we're hoping for. Same with Huff. We're going to see how that goes. He's, maybe have to play with a cast on and stuff if he came back. But from a medical standpoint, I think it can heal with that. But we got to see. It's asking a player to play with a cast. That can be a very tough situation for the player, and so we'd have to feel how comfortable he was with that to know how it'll go. And you look at guys like Hargrave, who could be a possible playoff guy, which is way down the line. But in Juwan, it was big not having Juwan last week, especially with BA going down. So I'd be very surprised if Juwan wasn't good to go Monday when we come back. So that would be a big one too. So you got guys like Kevin Givens who are close, missed last week, who could possibly miss this week after the bye. But hopefully these guys have a good bye week and we come back, they're feeling great, and they can join this team.
Talking to the head coach of the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, we do it once a week. Just think if he could wear that club during the 70s and 80s, he could just wreck dudes with that thing.
There's no issue.
They use those. They use those as weapons back in the 70s and 80s, and nobody cared. I love watching the old tapes, like the Raiders, Steelers. Literally, the Raiders should have been put in jail for what they did to Lynn Swann. It was a totally different game back then. I don't know if you love watching them as much as I do, but I was watching the old playoff game between the Colts and the Raiders, and it's just. I love the old stuff is great. The fields are ridiculously awful. They're not using Scott's Turf Builder, apparently. They have seats right next to the end zone where fans are just standing in the end. It's just a whole different sport, isn't it?
Oh, it really is. It was so fun. I think it was last year during the playoffs I started showing our team an early 1980s game. and just the players are just in awe, like guys pulling around the corner, and there's 8 guys going at each other's legs.
Yeah.
I mean, just front side, back side, like the most awkward positions ever, and people just can't believe it. Their shoulder pads are bigger than almost anybody's bodies right now.
Yep.
And it's just a totally different deal, and it's amazing. You're a product of your environment, and so back then you're kind of just used to it. It's not a big deal, and now you go back and you watch it, and you're like, holy cow, that is different.
Yeah. Now you know why they had issues with the league at some point. It was like the helmets they were wearing is like, it looks like they got that at Toys R Us. Like wearing it during an NFL game. I did want to ask you about a couple plays during last game against the Cowboys because people were asking about it. I had my own explanation, but I'm not you. So they were curious about before the first field goal, the 3rd and 11 draw play that people thought was a little conservative. I had my own explanation, but what would you say about that one?
I mean, I think people could say it's conservative, so it's throwing a screen there. You know, when you have 3rd or 10 plus, and you know you're hoping if they do a blitz or something and they want to be aggressive, that's great because then you have a chance to pick up that. If they don't, you're usually doing a lot of stuff to hopefully hit a check down for a 4-yard gain and risk getting a holding call that knocks you out of field goal range. We did it earlier in the game. We were right there on the fringe, and I think it was 3rd and 16 possibly. And I was hoping that they would blitz to get us out of there, and we actually called a sluggo, which is a slant and go double move on their corner. And they're just bailing out of there playing conservative, so you're kind of wasting it down. And we checked it down to George Kittle, and he got I think 6 yards, and we kicked a field goal. I was kind of predicting that they would do that there, which it gives you a good chance running the ball if you can execute a couple blocks. It's not just conceding. It's something that when you play conservative defense, it's tough to stop the run in that situation. But we missed a couple, which didn't give us a chance of the first down, but it guaranteed we got in range for a field goal, and the guy made the field goal, so I was really happy about it.
Yeah. And then the end of the game, the 3rd and 1, I think it was the second to last drive where you called it was a rollout, and I think it might have been Debo that was coming across the formation, and he wasn't open. Brock got it tipped. The guy dropped it. It looked like he was upset that somebody didn't do something, and people were wondering why not run there. And I was like, well, there was a 6-man front, and you guys did it right before that and got stuffed for no gain. So that, to me, was fairly obvious. Like, it's hard to run against a 6-man front when they're going to stick too many guys up there, but was Brock upset at something in particular? Was there somebody like that should have stopped or moved sideways or did something that he didn't like?
Yeah, there was a couple things into it. First of all, I think we scrambled to get it into 2nd and 1. We ran the ball in 2nd and 1, didn't get it. That was, I want to say, like our 4th, 3rd, and short in the game, and we always have 2 calls called on those. Not always, but usually 2 calls in those situations. And trust me, one of them is a run. But when they put not 6 guys, when they put 9 guys up there, they're daring you to run it. Because that's what they're defending. And it's kind of how the game went. We had gotten a quarterback sneak on the 3 previous 3rd downs. We had 3rd and goal on the 2, and they didn't honor the sneak in the run, and we were able to get a quarterback sneak on 3rd and goal from the 2 the series before and get a touchdown out of it on a sneak, which is rare from the 2-yard line. And after we did that, they weren't going to let us do it again. So they played gaps defense. They put everybody in there, which means you can bring a receiver from one side to the other, where every corner's got to go chase him all the way across the field to guard him, which is essentially impossible for him to stop him for a 1-yard gain.
Yeah,
that's what we did. It usually is Debo, but Debo was out in the game at that time. So
that's right.
Ronnie Bell came in backing him up, and he had it, and he was all alone. But the guy guarding George Kittle came off and took him away. And when he did that, Brock turned to run and go. And when Brock turned to run and go, then Ronnie turned to block. And when Brock turned to run and go, the guy who was originally guarding Ronnie, which was Diggs, he had caught up, not to Ronnie, but to Brock. And so Brock couldn't run. So then Brock looked back to Ronnie, who had already started to block because of that's what he saw. And then Brock was wanting him to get open for a pass, but that was just more that he didn't have anywhere to go, and he was the frustration at the end of the play. But I totally get what Ronnie was doing, and I totally get what Brock was doing.
Got it, man. Sometimes the defense wins, as they say. I'm just curious how you felt about that game, because I was saying it's hard to win in sports. Like when you're playing pro sports, it's hard to win. any game. So any game you're happy you won, you'd like to finish it out a little cleaner. I said it almost felt like a baseball game where you're up 6-1, but you got to bring in your closer to shut it down. You win 6-4, 6-5. You still won. You're happy, but you're like, it'd be nice to, commit an error or something, and you'd like to close it out cleaner. How'd you feel? I mean, obviously, you guys didn't do a good enough job guarding CeeDee Lamb at the end of the game, but you won the game. Do you just say, hey, we won, that's great, that's awesome, or hey, we won the game, but there's still plenty of things we need to clean up if we want to get to where we want to go?
Oh, yeah, that's always. And it's,
sure.
It was fun during the game, and you think you got a chance to win pretty easily there at the end. And then we make a couple mistakes, and the other team gets right back in it. And that's stuff I'm kind of talking about that we got to continue to get better at. I was proud our guys overcame it and were able to finish it. But when we get there in that last situation, it's things that you got to do to win the game. We had a huge jet sweep with Ricky, up 10 points there in the fourth, got us all the way down there. And we got a big third down that had a couple mistakes on that third down, which I thought we would have been able to move the chains. And we didn't get to because of that, which costs about 2 more minutes and gives you no chance of a touchdown. So we kick a field goal to make it 13 points, which you should still feel pretty good with 13 points. And with only 3.5 minutes to go, whatever it was. And but I don't feel good when they score in 4 plays and go 70 yards in 4 plays, and it makes it that fast. So when you look into those 4 plays, it's kind of what happened on those two. And we played some softer zone, trying to make them work for everything. And we had 2 routes in particular where our linebackers just took the cheese and jumped underneath stuff, so they were able to get explosives behind it. And then the next 2 plays, the ones where CD got totally alone, we had 2 guys running into each other, which picked him and got him open on one. And the other one, when you're going no huddle and half the side makes one call, and then they communicated the wrong to the other. So we got one side playing zone, another playing man, and so it was one huge bust right there that got them all alone. So you got 2 guys jumping, and then you got 2 mistakes, and that's what happens. They got the right deal on when that did, and 2 guys get open uncontested, and just like that, it's a 6-point game with 3 minutes to go. Stuff's real.
That's okay.
And now it's real. And now you got to play football. So there's 3 minutes, and they got 3 timeouts left, which does not mean just run the clock out. It means you better get first downs, or this ball's going right back to them. And we got a scramble on first down, and then on the second down, it's 2nd and 3, we got another run, but they load everyone up, and just very similar to what they did in the short yardage. So we go to the pass play to kind of answer, and we got Ricky Pearsall open for a touchdown big time, but their safety is on the line of scrimmage, does not hesitate, and gets right to Brock before he can get it off. And it was really a hell of a job by Brock just holding on to the ball and not fumbling it. And then but after that, you go into a 3rd and 11 or whatever it is, and we weren't able to convert the first down there. So kicking it back to the defense and having 3 minutes to go in the game, and Dak with the ball only down 6, that's a terrible feeling, especially when you know where it was about 2 minutes before that. But what I was proud of there is there was only 4 plays left, because our defense, even though they definitely cracked for a little bit with a couple mistakes on the drive before, they held them 4 plays in a row, made them go 4 and out. We gave it back to the offense, and the offense ran it all the way down to the 1-yard line and slid and did our favorite formation, which is victory formation. So it got close there with a couple mistakes. We were able to overcome it, so I was very proud of our guys for that. And going into this bye week at 4-4 feels a lot better than 3-5, but it's all about how we come back, and do we get better or worse? And I expect us to get better when we come back.
No doubt. And before I let you run, you anticipate anything happening between now and trade deadline?
I know John and his whole group upstairs are always looking into it. I'd be surprised if it did. But if we ever find something that we think's going to help us this year and not hurt us for the future, I mean, we are always for that. I always hope that we can find something like that. But that's why you don't see it a lot of places, because the answer isn't always a good answer out there. It's just sometimes doing something to just do something, and we won't do that for that reason. That's
why I like beer. It's helpful now and not hurtful in the future. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm sticking with. Anything fun during the break? Does it all work for you, or do you get to go and kind of unplug for a couple days?
No, I spend these first few days hard, like yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and then I really try to unplug, spend some time with my family. When they were younger, we'd maybe go somewhere for a couple days, just to like a hotel to kind of post up in, just relax, do the pool stuff and everything. But they're getting too old now. They all got way too much stuff going on, so I get to see my daughter's volleyball game, get to see my son's football game. I was actually so pumped. It hit me that we have Halloween off, and I love like dressing up and going around with the kids and no one knowing who you are and just having a mask on and just I love it. And so I was telling them how excited I was to go with them this year. And then my daughter who's a junior in high school looked at me. My son who's a freshman in high school looked at me and they're like, "Dad, we're not going out on Halloween. What do you think?" And I was like, "Oh, dang." And then I looked to my 6th grader and I was like, "Well, I still get to go with you, right?" And she's like, "Dad, that's kind of dorky for you to come with me. I'm going to be hanging out. You can like hang off in the distance." And I kind of got a face on me, and my older daughter actually felt bad for me. She's like, "I'll go with you." I'm like, "I don't need a pity party, guys. But I really would like to dress up and go trick or treating, but I guess we're gonna have to think about having another one." So.
Just for Halloween, like we need another one. I want to go out. I want to go out again.
Well, it's just for Halloween and once every 7 years when I have the bye week on that time.
That'll work out perfect. That's definitely a good enough reason. You just do what I do. Just get dressed up and hand out candy. That's
probably what I'll do.
Yeah, that's the extent of it. Now, I dress up in a scary costume. I sit in a chair, and I try to be as still as possible, and then I jump at kids when they come up to the door. So, I mean, that's about all I get out of it anymore. So, I got to get something out of it, though, because I'm like you. I love Halloween. I love dressing up, doing all that stuff. But my kids, although I do got the granddaughter now, so I may do that with the granddaughter, although she doesn't like me dressing up super scary. So, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Well, enjoy the bye week. Enjoy Halloween. Enjoy going to it'd be awesome just being able to experience and go to all the kids' sporting events, something coaches a lot of times miss out on. So that's a fun part about the bye week when it happens. So enjoy the bye week, and we'll look forward to talking to you again, Coach, at the on the other side.
All right, Tom. Appreciate it, dude. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Coach. Yep, absolutely. Appreciate it.